What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Ho the Husband Podcast. I'm your host, Terry Ryan. I got my co-host, Jay Bavo, on the line with me. What's up with you, bro?
Not much, Steve. Looking forward to once again getting into another great episode for tonight. Obviously, we're still missing SD, due to daddy duties, but we look forward to having him back on the next episode here. But want to quickly remind you, you can catch us on TikTok as well as subscribe to us on YouTube at hoetohusbandpodcast. And for those of you interested in promos or shout outs, shoot us a DM on IG at hoetohusbandpodcast, or you can email us at hoetohusbandpodcast@gmail.com. All right, T.
I want to start out by giving a shout out to my man, Brother Soul Productions, for keeping us laced with our background music. I'd like to remind everybody to continue supporting the podcast through our Cash App and our PayPal. And I'd like to remind everybody that you can catch the audio playback of the podcast every Monday afternoon at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time on thecore94.com. Now, in light of Valentine's Day, today's episode is titled Prove You Love Me. And we're going to be talking about how the expectations associated with Valentine's Day, that doesn't actually seem to help improve relationships. But you know how we do around here, man. We like to discuss stuff that we've seen trending or things that interesting stuff we've seen on our timeline. So we got two real interesting videos this week. This first video, I wish I could say I didn't believe it or it was, unbelievable, but the times that we're in, I think this is pretty accurate. But it's a video I came across where a guy, Michael Sartain, was talking about in the future, he firmly believes that men are going to be sleeping with robots on a very consistent basis. Let's take a look.
Men at the end are going to robots. I'm sorry. You can record me if you want. You can make fun of me all you want. I guarantee you your grandchildren will be robots. I guarantee you they will. There is no possibility they won't. And I'm going to tell you why. Now, I think it's weird. And I won't want my son to do it. But I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. 100 years from now, you're going to have some kid, when he's 16, he's going to have a creepy uncle who comes over, buys him like 4 robots. And these robots can look like any woman he wants. And they feel like women. And they act like women. They have sex with them and they do whatever he wants. And then he has all these wild, crazy fantasies with these girls. Then one day he goes to college and he goes to a bar and he sees a really attractive woman and he goes and he talks to her and she's like, "Ooh, you're too short. Ooh, you're not that good looking. Ooh, whatever." He's like, "F this. I'm gonna go my robot. I don't want to have to deal with this shit."
Now, it's hard to understand why that wouldn't be. I mean, guys are already sleeping with, the torsos and the toys and sex dolls and things of that nature. So if there's a doll that can, with the AI and the technology that we have now, they're learning more and more about us every single day. And so what he's saying is definitely not, something that I cannot see happening. It just seems like that's the easy route, and it's going to hurt human, our reproduction rates and marriage rates and all these things are going to drastically drop once and I definitely don't think it's going to be 100 years.
Yeah, I agree here. Like, this isn't far-fetched at all of what he's saying, right? We can possibly see this in our lifetimes here, where that's a thing, right? We can see this within the next 20 years, maybe 20 to 50 years. I say it's definitely a possibility. Like you said, men are already doing something similar. Like you said, you have torsos, all types of pocket pussy, sex dolls. So you have these things in play already. Now, they actually put this, make a robotic woman, and does all the features a woman do. You're just not going through the heck what she's saying. You're too short. You're too this. You're too that. Yeah, and there's going to be men that find that more enjoyable than talking to an actual woman if this thing comes to life here.
Yeah, well, see, part of that is going to be them avoiding the rejection or avoiding the growing pains that actually come with being outside for real. So that's going to contribute to more guys that are lame and struggle to interact with women and have conversations, etc. So that's going to snowball and create additional problems. But the idea of it, it's funny, because I remember having a conversation with my wife a while back when she was selling clothes. We were shopping for mannequins, and the mannequins are fine as hell. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember being in the little workspace, and I'm looking around like they all got, I'm like, it looked like a club. You know what I'm saying? It's a bunch of they shapes, they got big booties, they're like BBL mannequins per se.
Okay.
So if you can imagine robots walking around with big booties, you know what I'm saying, very shapely, very curvaceous, they're silicone and soft and all this, I can definitely see why guys would be willing to pay for that and willing to use that. Because dicks ain't complex. You don't need a lot of technology to be able to make men come or make men get sexually aroused. So that's the easy part, you know what I mean? And like I said, sex is mostly mental anyway.
I mean, you got, and like I said, I can see it happening. And think about this. I don't know if you remember that show on Real Sex. It used to come on HBO. It was back in the '90s, and they had sex dolls. And you know, they had a segment where they had sex dolls. That woman with a full body and everything made of silicone, like you said. But like I said, this was in the '90s, and hey, look, we're 30 years removed from the '90s. So I can only imagine what they would come up, in the next 20 to 30 years from now.
Yeah, I can't say that I'm surprised. We talk about the incels and the guys that don't have success with women and all this stuff all the time. So I get it. Technology is used to solve problems. So there's a lot of energy and effort being used to solve that issue. But there are so many things that are going to lack in the dating world, because the intangible things like the pride and the self-esteem that you get from being able to go from a woman being a stranger to somebody that you're sleeping with on a regular basis,
right?
Or sleeping with a woman that several other men had tried to shoot their shot at and wish they could be sleeping with. Like those type of dynamics that come from being outside and just being in the normal dating world. I think they're gonna suffer if all you gotta do is be able to afford the robot and then just keep updating her, or, you know what I'm saying? Like changing the program into update. There's no competition in that.
I mean, I would imagine it would be AI powered, right? Where it remembers everything about you. Like if you type into an AI app, ChatGPT, I use it for certain things, right? It tells you, it knows all about you, everything whatever you put into it, it keeps a record of. So I can imagine to be something similar to that. Like it figures out what you like to do and everything else, and it would just go off of that.
Yeah, and it's gonna, obviously that would be a very addictive thing to have. Yep. Just like with the virtual reality. Once they get to the point where you can put on an Oculus or whatever, you can see a scenario and you can get the sensations that make it feel like you're actually being touched or whatnot. Virtual sex is going to be a thing too, so again, none of these things are going to replicate the real thing. And it just seems like it's going to, long-term impact of it is going to hurt us more than it's actually going to help the people that seem to be the most interested in it. This is definitely not going to age well or put us in a better space. It's not going to bring us together. I don't think so.
Yeah, especially you said it would hurt marriage. I mean, because think about it, marriage rates are already going down. I think they're projected to go down. I forget what it was. It was maybe might be 20% or less by the year 2050. So I can, and I don't know if this came into play or not here, but I can imagine if this wasn't accounted for, this would make the number exponentially less here by the year 2050. If, let's just say this came within the next 20 years here.
Yeah, I mean, there are going to be all types of dynamics and situations that arise that people haven't had to deal with. Is a man sleeping with a robot cheating? Is what I'm saying? Like is that cheating? Does it get treated like cheating? Like, I'm pretty sure it can create the same feeling as being cheated on. Like, so it's going to be a bunch of stuff that prior generations never had to deal with, and people are going to have to figure out in real time. So
it's going
like I said, a lot of the things that make sex interesting or memorable can't be replicated by a robot. The things you say and the things that you experience when it's just in the moment and it's happening freestyle, because we're talking about the female robots. There are gonna be male robots too. You know what I'm saying? Like there
I
are
have
gonna
no
be
question.
women that are sleeping with these male robots that stay hard 24/7 and can vibrate and do all these type of things that an actual man can't do. So, like I said, we'll be long gone, but I think this will be.
That's gonna be
I
very.
mean, he has a foresight to talk about it and explain it now, but it's definitely going to be a problem in the future. So
It's
I'm
gonna be
glad
very,
we
very
didn't
interesting.
grow up on that.
Exactly.
I mean,
Man.
is that enough that we already live in a world where, we got the filtered photos and all the beauty enhancements, so it's hard to identify real beauty and real women right now. You know what I mean? Like with all the stuff that they have that change their shape and make them look better than they actually look in real life. So again, I can't imagine being with a robot, you know what I mean? But
yeah, it's
interesting. We too far ahead of our time, man.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting what those conversations are going to be like when these things come to light here. And I feel bad, I really feel bad for I guess I can say my our grandkids generation here,
Because think about it. A lot of the stuff that we do socially is to make ourselves desirable to the opposite sex. So
Absolutely.
the things that we going out, being out outside with drinks, bars, clubs, all these type of things, the desire to spend money and time doing those things when you can replicate all of the end goal with the robot it's going to have major impacts. It's going to impact industries. It's going to change how people spend their money and their time or whatever. And there are going to be consequences of it. You know what I mean? Like, I could just imagine robots cheating. You know what I'm saying? Robots start sleeping with the other robots. And things like that. So jealousy, like as this AI and all that what happens if you cheat on your robot? You know what I'm saying? Like, does a robot feel some type of way? Does a real robot respond? You know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna be all kind of foolishness.
I guess so. I guess it would be programmed to have its own emotion. Man,
if it's learning from how women respond to being cheated on, and it puts that in the program, so this could be really problematic, in the future. But it's not something we got to deal with. So, like I said, I just thought it was real, and when I saw it, I believe everything he said. Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, because that's basically what Terminator was. Basically an artificial intelligence powered robot.
True.
And just went rogue.
All right, let's keep things rolling. Now, this next video, this is something, I guess it don't get talked about a whole lot, but I'm interested to see what you think about it. But it's the scenario where a guy shoots a shot at one friend, she don't like him, and he decides to shoot a shot at another friend. Let's take a look.
You asked me out, I said no, and then you moved on to my friend. Does that make sense?
Very much so. You don't like me and your friend, though.
It just gives like.
Why are you gatekeeping your friend?
Kind of anything.
It's weird.
It is weird.
It's weird to me.
So you want my friend? Like, I don't get that. Like, there's other girls.
I wanted you, but you said no. But your friend fine too.
So if homegirl like you and you don't like her, and then you cool with that? Yeah, you are.
Yeah, I'm gonna knock it down. Shit, I don't want to.
Why am I asking that?
Why you mad? Why you mad? Because you don't want me.
I don't really want to date somebody that thought my friend was attractive too. It's like,
stop hanging out with fine friends. Y'all
like,
girls be like,
also,
all my bitches are fine. All my friends look good. Don't get mad when I think one of your friends look good.
But if it was the same thing, a girl on a date with a guy, didn't work out, and then she goes to your friend, she's already got a label attached to her, or no?
Well, I know in general, you are correct.
Thank you.
But for me, I don't get to.
Now, me and my friends have never fell out or beefed over women. I know a lot of guys feel the same way that the women do. I liked her first, so she's off limits. Or I talked to her before, so you can never talk to her. Like, they have that kind of mindset. I don't know. I don't spend my time worried about people that don't like me or I don't care about. So if I smashed already and I'm no longer dealing with her, I don't care. And even in a lot of cases, if she ain't my girlfriend or my wife, I don't care. You know, like I said, a lot of my homies that I've interacted with through life, we bonded over smashing the same chicks and, you know, juggling women and stuff like that. Like, that's how, you know, it's 17 in the military. That's the lifestyle. I mean, I was already living like that in high school too, but high school, the army, college, we was tossing hoes to each other, you know what I'm saying? Like that kind of stuff. I don't know. I thought that's what everybody was doing, to be honest. But you know, but so what she's saying, like, all right, so because the hard part is when a guy's approaching a group of attractive women, you don't know who's single, who's not. Like, if they ain't got on wedding rings or whatnot, so you can't tell who's really available or whatnot. And they could all be fine, you know. Like, I've smashed multiple women in friend groups, you know. It's just the nature of it. Especially if you kicking it with one chick and the friend is always around, and if she finds you attractive, body language don't lie. You know, I mentioned on the podcast before, in marriage counseling, within the first 300 hours of you being around a male or a female, the question of whether or not y'all are gonna sleep together is gonna get answered. Whether it's verbal, non-verbal. So, you know, sometimes that energy where somebody is interested in a friend, and you can have threesomes and stuff like that when you can spot that the person is attracted to y'all both. So that was never a problem for me.
Exactly. I mean, like I said, it's not necessarily, that's not a problem for me. But I think where women, like she was saying, oh, well, why do you want my friend? You know, I didn't want. I think it's more of an ego thing, right? Because she's like, well, I rejected him. You know, the rest of my friends shouldn't want her, right? They don't. You know, she has. Let's just say she has all attractive friends. She didn't want her for one reason or another. He goes to the friend. She wants him. And I think that's the part women can't get. So, you know, it's an ego thing, because women by and large, you know, are more so group thinkers, right? You know, if 3 women decide they don't like this dude, you know, the other 4 or 5 in the group would decide that, right? As opposed to, you know, kind of being different. They feel like it's going against the grain, the sister code, sisterhood, sister code, so to say here. So it sounds like that's what her mentality is. Whereas for men, we don't. By and large, we don't necessarily triple the eye. She didn't want me. Okay, she want my friend. Cool. We kind of just like, all right, whatever.
Some guys
don't know about our business. Some guys, like I said, hey, listen, there are men out here that are willing to kill over a woman, kill over sex here.
Yeah, you smashing my baby mama, you smashing my ex. Yeah. Like, there's some dudes that take that to heart and will go to the max over it. But most guys don't, you know, like the guys that have success with women and see it for what it is, play the game. You know what I'm saying? If she chose me, she chose to give her time, attention, and sex to me, then obviously it was about something about me that she liked. And so that's how guys really feel about it. And for me personally, I always felt like if I shot my shot at a chick, you know, I always say, I'd rather find out a chick don't like me rather immediately or as soon as possible. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that's an efficiency in dating. I'm cool with, I understand rejection's part of it, so I just rather get to that than, you know, I'm not about to be friend zoned, but I learned my friend zone lesson in high school. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had that one experience and I learned forever to never put myself in that position again. But if a chick don't like me and she's bad, I got a partner that you probably will like. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I always thought bad women hang around other bad women. So if one of my partners is smashing a bad chick, she got a sister, a cousin, or a roommate or somebody else that's gonna be fine, that can keep the party going, you know what I'm saying, for lack of a better term. So I was never you know, like me and my roommate, we talked about situations like that where we've smashed some of the same chicks, we've ran trains on some chicks, we've smashed some chicks separately, you know what I'm saying? You had experience with her and it was off the chain, we talked about it, and I ended up been able to luck up and vice versa. Like we put each other on game on what she likes, what you should say, how you should do it, how you should approach it. And like I said, I could text about certain names right now, and both of us will smile and have like a nostalgic conversation about it. So that's always been bonding for guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. But like I said, some men don't think. Yeah, some men just ain't like that for one reason or another. Here, like I said, I've never fell out with nobody over a woman, and I don't plan to. If we fell out, it's for one reason or the other, but it wasn't over a woman here. It just.
Well, I mean, I can understand, somebody feeling like that about somebody that you was in a serious relationship with, or you don't want your friend, your baby daddy to start dating your friend or whatnot. But in the scenario that she said, where he's, hey, how you doing? What how you doing? And she's like, oh, I got a boyfriend or whatever. And then he end up talking to your friend later. To me, especially for women are not in a position to be curving quality men for just some random reason. Like you already got a very small percentage of guys that's gonna meet your criteria in the first place. And birds of a feather, stick together. So me and my friends are gonna like similar women, you know what I mean? So that's why I already know if a chick is bad enough for me to shoot my shot at her, other dudes want to smash her too. You know what I'm saying? Other dudes are shooting their shot too. And it's the same way with women. If you that type of dude where you're consistently sleeping with attractive women, your reputation, your body language, and your confidence all gonna reflect that. And that's how guys end up being able to sleep with multiple friends. Maybe not all at the same time, but when women talk about what they've done with you, if it was pleasurable, if it was good, those conversations usually lead to secret rendezvous based off what they heard about you or wanting to find out for themselves. So from a male standpoint, if you can establish a level of trust where she knows you ain't gonna put her out there, or it can stay relatively secret, that's how a lot of that goes down. The friend don't want the other friends to know that you and your roommate ran a train on her. You know what I mean? Like, so you got
she definitely don't want that out there. I mean, listen, there's plenty of women out in this world, in their 30s, maybe 40s that don't even want that threesome, that train that she got ran on in college, or the threesome she had in college there.
Yeah, you gotta create the trust to let it go down. And for some reason, I don't know how I learned how to do that, but I was able to do that starting around 15, 16 to just figure out what to say, how to create the environment, how to set up the mood for stuff like that to go down. But like I said, the scenario where I shot at you, like, you can't avoid that, especially if you got a clique of attractive friends. That's just part of the game. First come, first serve. And if you're not interested, you ain't got no bids on where it goes from there. So, like you said, it got to be an ego thing, or I think a lot of women they seem to get something out of rejecting men. Like, just for the sake, they're single, they could be talking about how they want a relationship, but they still enjoy just rejecting men for the sake of rejecting them. I don't really understand that part of it.
I don't understand that either.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't try to really make sense of the female dating decisions. I can just talk about why it doesn't make sense from our perspective, or why it works against them. Because we know that women reject men for really silly or trivial reasons. And so you curving them because you more interested in the dude you met last time, or you got some other dude on your mind, that don't have nothing to do with whether or not your friend and him are compatible or have a mutual interest in one another. So to me, that's kind of like you being a hater, or just to prevent your friend from possibly having something. So to me, that's not in your best interest, ladies. That's just like the ugly friend that she don't want to talk to you. She's not interested. Like, how you know she ain't interested?
How you know? Like,
She been flirting with me. She been staring at me like.
I ain't say two words to her. You talking about she not? If you don't get your ass on with that, man.
The security guard friend usually, she knows nobody's really interested in her, so I guess they be feeling
that's what the wingman comes into play.
To play security guard in a club and cotton block and all that. But those are just part of the games. You gotta navigate around it. Like I said, this is one of the challenges that comes up with approaching groups of women, and we talk about it. You kind of want to do some pre-research, see who's checking you out, and try to figure out who's interested in you before you walk up to the table or before you spark the conversation with the women. And sometimes it's more than one, So I think this kind of situation where you went for one friend, I think it in college is a much bigger thing because you see the same people in different class in the cafeteria, at the mall, and you worked with somebody. So you have all these kind of different relationships with people to have that kind of stuff go down. And for me, I think it just kind of worked out so great because on top of being at an HBCU, I was like in management at the major call center in the city. So I was seen by so many women in shirt and tie and cologne and the whole nine. Like I just worked it to my advantage. And like I said, it was, I don't know, the best of both worlds. With me going to college and coming from the military, I had an apartment, so I was able to present a grown man experience to the girls that was living in the dorms. I had money to spend and stuff like that, so my college experience was a little Marcus Grahamish for the most part. All right, man. Let's keep things rolling, man. We about to take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna be getting into today's topic, "Prove You Love Me," where we're talking about Valentine's Day and the expectations associated with it. We're tuned into the How to Husband podcast. We'll be back in a minute. Hi, I'm relationship coach and author Terry Duran, and I am pleased to announce that my book, It's Not That Complicated, is finally available as an audiobook. So if you don't like to read or you just don't have time to read a paperback book, this audiobook is perfect for you. You can listen to it while you're in your car, while you're at work, etc. In the book, I break down how husband material men think and operate in regards to sex, love, and relationships, and I provide real quality insight on how husband material men approach dating. The audiobook is available on audible.com and on iTunes. All you have to do is go to one of the websites and search for my name, Terry Duran. Go download your copy today. All right, everybody, welcome back to the How to Husband podcast. Today's episode is titled "Prove You Love Me." We're talking about Valentine's Day and a lot of the expectations that are associated with it and why that doesn't actually improve relationships or improve dating scenarios. Now, it seems, in my opinion, it seems like Valentine's Day used to be about small gestures or things that you do to show somebody that you care about them, you love them, or you're interested in them. To now, it's this grand spectacle where you have to prove something to the world or prove something to social media. And underneath all that is the commercialization of all the corporate greed, diamonds, gifts, restaurants, all these type of things. I mean, it happens with all, woman holidays, Mother's Day, Christmas, all these type of things. It's just another way that they can maximize the money that men have to spend on these things. But I think actually the way that Valentine's Day is viewed and the spectacle around it now, it seems to just create more tension and problems or complaints than it does actually building love or making women, appreciate the romance that's directed their way.
Yeah. I mean, Valentine's Day, like I said, it became an online spectacle, basically a horse and pony show and more so for women than it is men, right? Yeah, I mean, men don't really get gifts on Valentine's Day. show that women get
They get
flowers
same gift on
and
Valentine's.
a extravagant gift. I mean, folks get on here and show it on Instagram, TikTok, and like I said, it's the commercialization of it, right? Right after Christmas, that's when a lot of retail stores start putting out Valentine's Day stuff. You go to any department store, they have Valentine's Day dresses. You go to CVS, Walgreens, they got the teddy bears, the gift bags, gift cards, all that good stuff out there, right? So it's already programmed. You start seeing the commercials, everything. Valentine's Day sale at Zales or any other.
Yeah. So, and then the language around it. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I said they start putting it right after Christmas, and they really start to I guess put it out there, oversaturate you, for lack of a better description, with Valentine's Day stuff and gifts or any sort of paraphernalia surrounding it. So it's already programmed in in the women's head, and I guess for the men to go out there and spend and go buy these things and go all out for women.
Yeah, the marketing around it is brilliant. You got to give them that. But you're right. It starts right after Christmas. They start planting this up. Show her how much you love her. Every kiss begins with K. All these type of cliches and phrases that kind of get embedded into our consciousness around Valentine's Day. And if you are a boy and you 15 and you in high school and all that, it started already. Like the asking them to prom, having to have a sign, having to do all these grand gestures just to go do normal, regular things that, previous generations did. Now it's on social media. Now it's viral. Now it's they outfits got to match and they got to do all these different type of things. Like, so the guys are kind of being trained to go above and beyond, to shower these girls with attention and show that you care and do all these type of things. And none of it really helps the bottom line as far as improving the actual relationship itself. It's just something to, for women to really shit on other women and show off to other women. It seems to be the primary motive behind it. And the money that has to be spent. So I'm fortunate that me and my wife are not real materialistic, and we've been together so long that we celebrate ourselves, our relationships pretty much throughout the year. So we don't have to do these grand things. I don't have to go to State 48 and do all these type of things where everything is overpriced, where you got to have a reservation, you got to do all these type of things. It really makes it inconvenient to actually enjoy those things.
Yeah, it's crazy. The way it is now, as opposed to 20 years ago, here at 2006. I mean, it's social media was out, but wasn't as big as it is today. It didn't become, I guess, the de facto media conglomerate that it is now, right? Certain things that, just flowers and chocolate was acceptable then, 20 years ago. And let's just say you go out to, Chili's for, just for the sake of the conversation here. Like you said, now.
Not a big deal.
They decided now they've upped the ante. You got to go buy, buy the top-notch roses, best, lavish gift here, whether it's jewelry, upgrade her handbag. And it's like not Michael Kors, Louis, Gucci, right? And then take her to an expensive restaurant, like you said, Steak 48, or Julia, some sort of upscale restaurant, as opposed to just
steakhouse. It can't just be a regular restaurant. It got to be a steakhouse.
Even this day and age, Cheesecake Factory isn't acceptable. And mind you, that's not a cheap restaurant.
That's a nice spot. Yeah, you can spend $100 easily. So it's crazy, because when you're talking about social media and they see the celebrities and they see they got the foyer of the house with 1,000 roses and this and that, and they see these images of things that are not realistic, they're over the top. It's probably a company that paid for all this stuff. But when you present it where she just came home and she walks in, like, you just had a camera following you on your own. Like people just don't realize that the majority of this stuff is scripted to look a certain way. And so these women see these grand things that go viral, they get retweeted and reposted and all this type of thing. And what it really does is creates dissatisfaction with what the regular men can provide. Because now they're looking at it like, oh man, I can't even post this. I can't even, you know what I'm saying? I don't even want to put this on my story. Like, so you'll see more complaints about what wasn't done for them. You'll see more women complaining about that than appreciation for what was done. And so it creates this cycle like, why would a dude even want to sign up for that? So you see the behaviors where guys start breaking up with chicks in January and, you know, creating tension or distance prior to Valentine's Day, because one, you're going to save a lot of money, and two, you're never really going to be able to meet the expectations of the modern woman when it comes to these type of things. So I don't know what can be done from the male perspective, because it seems like it's just a lose-lose situation for the most part.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, like you just said at the beginning, you know, it's just great marketing surrounding women, and I think it's programmed that, hey, this is what Valentine is supposed to look like for a woman. Anything less is just not acceptable. And guys just kind of, you know, fall into the trap, because now you're put in a situation, it's almost like it's damned if you do, damned if you don't here.
Yeah, and then, you know, Valentine's Day really kind of puts the light on a lot of situations and gives a lot of people a reality check. You know, you find out you're not the main chick. You find out that you're not the only person that such and such is involved with. You know, women getting gifts from multiple men. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that happens on Valentine's Day. A lot of people get exposed because when you deceiving somebody and they actually fall in love, or they this and that, you never know what they gonna post or who they gonna what they gonna tag you in, and so that type of stuff, you know, the exposing of Valentine's Day can really be, you know, it can create some drama, you know, especially if you're dealing with somebody that's not being forthright and ain't keeping it real. So it's not all fun and games that happen on Valentine's Day.
Right.
You know, a lot of people get caught on Valentine's Day. You know, your credit card receipts. Why you got
hotel receipts?
Why you got hotel receipts?
I think that's the most common. That's the most common one. You know, hotel receipts being left in the pants pocket that you had. You know, from that day. Hey, what was you doing at the Marriott here? We didn't go.
The survey emails.
Crazy.
How was your stay on February 15th? You know what I'm saying? Like all that kind of stuff that you get after the fact and all the like. So I've seen Valentine's Day cause a lot of chaos, you know, versus what it was originally intended for. But I wanted to talk to you. I don't know how long this has been a thing, but Valentine's Day, to where, you know, I looked it up online, and it says it's like February 13th. It's the celebrating. It's an unofficial holiday that celebrates female friendships and platonic relationships. So to me, I interpreted that as like a participation trophy for single women. You know what I'm saying? Like, or people that are not in a relationship. Is that what you get from that?
I think it's a good analogy and a good comparison here to a participation video where, you know, like you say, everybody just gets one just for coming out. But you know what? I think it started to become a thing maybe within the past decade or so, where the Valentine's Day has become a thing. Because like I said, I ain't know what that is within until a few years ago, 5-6 years ago, right? And you see, and this stuff gets posted online on the internet. You know, a bunch of girls, you know, they eat out,
it's a big deal.
Restaurant. Oh yeah, absolutely.
They plan. They do real. You know,
they get dressed up.
And dinners and dressed up. Like, matter of fact, my daughter's, it starts early, man. My daughter, one of her friends, she just thought it was a normal sleepover, so she got him,
Okay.
invited her for a sleepover. Hey, come over Friday. Well, turns out it's a Valentine's celebration. So it's sleepover. They had to get a pink dress to go to dinner in, and they didn't buy gifts, but they had to, like, my daughter had to bring stuff to make s'mores with. So it's like a mixture of slumber party / girls' dinner, I guess. But to me, it's just like, why is all this necessary? Like, guys don't need to do nothing and just go celebrate our friendship. We can just link up and hang out. Like, it don't have to be. So that's why I say it feels like a substitute for Valentine's Day for the women that don't have a Valentine.
I think it essentially is. It's just a substitute for girls who don't have a Valentine or isn't doing anything on Valentine's Day. Like you said, they go on to, some of them actually do it on Valentine's Day. I've seen that, I've seen it on my timeline. They post it on their stories, on their timelines and everything. And it's just like you said, it's a participation trophy. Like you said, they get dressed up. Some even exchange gifts on Valentine's Day. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, they get a streamer. And you even have, places, lounge restaurants that even market towards that as well. These places look at, hey.
It's smart. It's additional money. You can get the women that's not in a relationship to spend money or buy food, whatever they're going to do. But like I said, I'm not a woman, so I guess I can't really relate to it. But how they feel being left out, where they, they've been single, or they see their friends getting gifts and doing all this type of things. So, and I guess, the effort to make everybody feel included, but what does it really prove?
I think right. I think in the long run, it probably does cause more harm than good, than was intended purpose. Like I said, I think social media has made it a thing too, because you think about it, you put in think about this, you go on Instagram or you go on TikTok right now, you put Valentine's Day 2026, and a bunch of stuff is going to come up on your timeline right now. You'll see a bunch of videos and pictures that women done posted. You put in 2026. So, and you'll get more than enough.
Party City, the balloons, the decorations, that they go all out. It is a very elaborate thing. But to me, like I said, I think the Valentine's Day, even if you're a couple or you married, like, you don't need Valentine's Day to prove you love each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to do some grand thing on Valentine's Day to who you proving it to. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so a lot of people get caught up into trying to flex for social media, trying to show how much better they are than other people. And it's to the point where even a lot of women will send themselves flowers and do these type of things to make it seem as if some man sent them this bouquet of roses to the workplace, just for the whole purpose of shitting on the other women. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, impressing them to make the other women feel some type of way. So to me, it's just like, how much effort goes into putting on a facade?
That's been a thing for a minute too, posting. And you even have women that have platform, and I've got this from a good source. Somebody told me this. So I believe it. I take this at face value here, where even women go to restaurants and give off the illusion that they're actually on a date with somebody, where they order. So what they'll do is they'll order a meal, an entree, and then order an appetizer and put it on the other side and take a picture. And now it'll be cropped out. It gives off the illusion that they're actually on a date, but they're not really on a date.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, the stage photos. It's sad that people feel the need to do those type of things to impress social media, but again, I guess I'm talking from an entitled perspective, because I've never, struggled to be part of the dating market. You know what I mean? Like, so to think about how the extremes that people will go through just to put on a show, to me, you better off spending the energy and making yourself more desirable, or figuring out what the problems were. Why aren't you dating? Why aren't people shooting their shot at you? Like those things seem like a better use of time and energy to me. But
Exactly.
again, like I said, the Valentine's Day thing, I'm just like, man, this is such a big deal. And it's like, as a married couple, it's so inconvenient. The oversaturation of Valentine's Day, everything makes it so inconvenient and expensive that, man, we don't even want to go out to celebrate Valentine's Day. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what initially my wife was like, screw this. I'm just gonna make some steaks and I'm gonna do this and make us some lobster tails, and she'll do some stuff like that. But man, if you single or you just started dating a chick and Valentine's Day comes up, it's like you're almost guaranteed to create a situation where she's not satisfied with what you did.
Yeah, you know, it's like Christmas, where it's always going to start to get like Christmas, where it's going to become one of those holidays where you know, like you said, because the market oversaturated stuff, where you're putting yourself in a whole bunch that you celebrate that one day. Whereas, you know, Christmas is one of the most common holidays where, you know, folks are overspending and putting all this money out and going into debt, you know, to try to, you know, get a gift for whether it's significant other, kids or whomever, right? Family, friends, etc. here. So I think it's kind of becoming that where now folks, you know, you're gonna have men. Well, it's gonna be men for that matter. You know, going in debt or overspending to impress that one woman for Valentine's Day, if it hasn't already been happening here.
And it's a lot of them that are doing it to guys that are in their friends, guys that are trying to wow her and impress her and convince her to give them a chance. So those are the type of lessons, like I said, if you ain't learned in high school, that's not the approach that you should take, and you're a grown man doing it, you're gonna get used, because that's not the route to take to get you know what I mean? Like
it's a crash course, because you can't win a woman over. You can't get a woman to like it. At the end of the day, a woman has to choose you. So if she didn't already like you, but you going out, taking her out to get her, you know, lavish gifts and taking her out is going to make her like you anymore here.
Yeah, and I guess there's this belief that someone being your Valentine actually, like a woman being your Valentine or allowing you to give her gifts and treat her special on Valentine's Day does not equal to anything. That does not mean she wants to be with you. That does not guarantee you anything in a scenario. So if there wasn't romance between y'all, if there wasn't mutual interest already, then you are out of your mind to be trying to use Valentine's Day as I'm gonna show her, I'm gonna prove to her why she should be with me. Like that's a sucker mentality, and I hope a lot of guys mature out of it, because that's definitely setting you up for failure.
Exactly.
All right. Looks like we up against the clock. We're about to get up out of here. Before we go, I want to give another shout out to my man, Brother Soul Productions, for keeping us laced with background music. I want to remind y'all to continue supporting the podcast through our Cash App and our PayPal. I'm looking forward to getting SD back, you know, once our schedules align. And Jamin, I appreciate you linking up so we can get this episode knocked out. This has been another episode of the Ho to Husband podcast, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.